Welcome to Yale School of Arts' second virtual visit in the series for this year for admission for fall 25. My name is Taryn. I'm one of the assistant deans here at the School of Art. And we're excited today to bring you our faculty admission panel with our directors of graduate study for the 4 programs. Before I get started with just a brief overview of the application process, I'm going to turn it over to them to introduce themselves, starting with Nancy.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy Kelelo-Mutiti. Most people do call me Nancy, and I'm Director of Graduate Studies for Graphic Design. I joined the program and the art school in this capacity as the director and also assistant professor 2.5 years ago. It's been an exciting time of transition, and I'm really excited about the team and our current students. We've really been working to reaffirm the values of our program and look into the future. I'm an alum of the program, graduating class of 2012, and I'm an interdisciplinary practitioner working intentionally across modalities and geographies. We have students from all over the world, and I'm very excited to continue conversations with people from many different contexts and think about how we can show up with our practices.
Thanks so much. All right, and then Maria.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maria de Los Angeles. I joined the team in the role of assistant director. I'm an alumni of the program as well, 2015, from painting and printmaking. I am currently the interim director of the painting and printmaking program until Maleko Magazi, our director, returns shortly.
Thank you so much for being here, Maria. And then John.
Hi, I'm John Pilson. I am also an interim director of, in this case, photography, while Gregory Crutzen is on leave. He's back in the spring. I began my teaching at Yale in 2001, which makes me feel very old. But what else can I tell you? Well, to quote Lee Friedlander, the world needs another photographer. I subscribe to that. And welcome, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions later in the session.
Great, thanks so much, John. And last but not least, sculpture, Aki.
Aki Sasamoto, Director of Graduate Studies at Sculpture Department. Sculpture Department sculpt, but also all sorts of other mediums. Like a present in this department, and I myself are making installation and performance, and sometimes video, book, I don't know, whatever comes to it. I've been here for 5 years, and I have another a bit more to be a director here.
Great, thanks so much, Aki, and everyone else. And just one more note behind the scenes, we have Lindsay Mancini running the session. So if you have any technical issues, you can message her. And then Sarah Cronquist, who answers the admission email and is our senior admin in the admission office, is here as well, although she's taking care of just getting that email out to everybody, but she'll be with us as well. So I'm going to get started just with a very brief overview for those of you who attended our first virtual visit session on 11/25 2 weeks ago. This will be a little redundant, but I'm just going to make it snappy. This is Yale. Welcome to our virtual open house. Yale University is located in New Haven, Connecticut on the Eastern Seaboard. We're about 2 hours north of New York City by train or by car. And the university was founded in 1701. It's a very large resource-rich research institution. The university enrolls more than 15,000 students and scholars annually. There are over 8,000 graduate students and postgrad and postdocs studying at the university across 13 graduate and professional schools, in addition to Yale College, which is where our undergraduates study and get their degrees from. Among the 13 graduate and professional schools, there is the GSAS, or the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, that is separate from the School of Art, so just be aware of that when you're making your application. The School of Art was the 4th professional school in the list of schools we have here. that was founded at the university, and that was in 1869, and we were the first school to enroll women, a fact we're very proud of. So we've always been a bit of an outlier, and currently we enroll 125 MFA students across our 4 programs. And what I generally like to always just emphasize to prospective students is that studying to do your MFA at a research institution is a very different experience than at a, sort of a small standalone or private art school that isn't affiliated with a university. Just sheerly just the range of collections and research possibilities, and kind of speakers and classes, and just the education, the depths of the education that you can get to being an MFA student here. We have an incredible breadth of collections and libraries and cross-disciplinary labs that make up Yale, and some of the highlights that our students have found so key to their research as MFAs are the museums like Yale University Art Gallery and the YCBA, which are just really steps away from our main building. Places like the Beinecke Rare Books and Manuscript Archive, which is pictured here, and the Haas Family Arts Library, which sits just diagonally across the street from Green Hall, which is where we're sitting right now. And the Haas Family Arts Library also houses an archive collection of many thesis books and print catalogs from students in photography, graphic design, and they've also been cataloging thesis images from sculpture and painting and printmaking in there as well. This is the Yale Center for British Art, also right within a block radius of our building, and finally the UAG. And then this is just a little key, kind of the yellow spots are the 3 School of Art buildings, and then just showing their proximity to these other incredible collections and libraries at the university. And then the main Sterling Library is right below the Beinecke as well. So being at the School of Art, as we mentioned, we have the 4 programs. Our main building, which is where our offices are, our gallery, is right on Chapel Street, kind of on the edge of a large urban campus. We have a 3-story gallery within the building, which has all student exhibitions in it. Green Hall also hosts the pool, which is the photography critique space, which is pictured here, empty. This is a student studio for photography. We also in this building have many undergraduate classrooms, as well as the atrium, which is the space for graphic design students. They all have desk spaces upstairs, and then there are a collection of classrooms and large kind of gathering spaces downstairs, as well as labs and such. This is Crown Street, where the painting and printmaking program is based. We have a print shop in this building, as well as our individual studios for the painters. And then this is the Edgewood complex. The building in the back with all the lights is 36 Edgewood, and that's where we have the shops, the fabrication shops for wood and metal, as well as studios for sculpture students and some photography students as well. Preparing your application for admission is something that takes some time. So definitely it's good you're here learning more early on. Know our deadlines, kind of what we're looking for. Hopefully you've begun to start thinking about all these pieces coming together. So just really briefly, we require the application form, which is online on apply.art.yale.edu, a portfolio, a 1-page statement, a resume and CV, 3 reference letters, your transcript. It can be an unofficial for your undergraduate record. It only needs to be the school that you graduated from. You don't need to have, like, if you transferred or went to multiple schools, you don't have to include all of those, as well as the application fee. And if you are not a native English speaker and you attended a non-English speaking undergraduate program, a test of foreign language. For the 2025 cycle, the deadline is January 8th, 2025. That's going to be at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We notify the applicants of preliminary selections in early February. That is if we're inviting you for an interview, or if we are unfortunately unable to move your application to the next stage at that time. And then finalists will interview with faculty committees in February and be notified in early March of final selections. The admission cycle for this coming year, we are planning to admit 17 students in graphic design and 18 in painting, printmaking, and 10 each in photography and sculpture. We do something pretty rare here at Yale, which is that we only admit the number of students for which we have space in the program. And then as those admitted people, if they decide not to attend, then we would go to the waitlist in their place. We invite approximately 15 to 20% of our applicants to interview with our committees annually. And, you know, our admit rate really changes every year based on how many applications we have, et cetera. But we just always encourage people to, you know, if you've done your research about the program and you think it's a good fit and you're really interested, to put in your application, because you never know what will happen. And the admission committees are made up mostly of faculty. My team, we administer and facilitate the reviews, and occasionally the committees may have an alumni on the panel as well. So just again, I want to get to the main event, which is the faculty, hearing from them, but take time to prepare. Make sure you've asked your recommenders. Hopefully you've done that already, giving them some lead time, especially as we head into the holidays. The system kind of can become a little bit overburdened, like right in the last hour of applying. So just be mindful of that. Applying early, even a day early, is recommended. And then because everything's digital now, our committees begin reviewing pretty soon after the deadline. I mean, I'm pushing the applications to the queues within a day of the deadline. The portal for letters does remain open indefinitely, but we can only guarantee that the reviewers will see the letters if your recommenders get them in on time. So please do prepare for that. And then portfolio preparation is a little bit different for each program. So be sure that you look on the wiki and you understand the specific requests or guidelines for each area of study. I think the things that tie them all together, we are asking for either 16 in painting or up to 20 in all 3 other programs, images within your portfolio, and those could be images or videos. The work should ideally be recent. The majority of the work should be recent. We say that, we mean like in the past year and a half. When you're photographing your work, we'd love for you to show the surrounding space and the ideal viewing context if the work is 3D, but also we'd love to see the edges of your work if you're working in painting, and your surface area. Just photograph the work in such a way that we can really kind of see the qualities of it. Time-based work should be grouped last in the order of things. And if you're making work either in collaboration with another artist or designer, or if you're at all using AI generative tools, we ask that you identify this within the comment section of each individual image. Financial aid is, we have a whole process for this. I do recommend that you look at our website for the information, or you can go on in probably maybe by early next week, you can go on our YouTube page and watch the info session from November 25th, which goes very in depth with all of this. So we're not going to go too far into that today. So coming back to why we're here, we're just going to have the faculty talk a little bit to you about, you know, what they're looking for from the perspective of being on the admission panel. So that was a speed round. Thank you for your patience with that. All right, so I'm going to moderate this. And the first question I would ask is just from your perspective, directors, in leading the admission committee effort for your respective programs, when do you believe students are generally most ready or prepared in the trajectory of their practice for graduate study?
I'm speaking for sculpture department, but some are only a few years out of the undergraduate studies, and some are more than 10 years, have practiced either in art world or maybe as an artist, or had like a day job for like 10 years, and then identify that this is the time for them to really 24/7 focus on art. I would say it's very rare for us to take somebody right out of the undergraduate program, like graduating right now, just because likely the portfolio is full of assignments. So I'm just telling you that just because we recognize those things. That doesn't mean that it never happens, but it's kind of rare. Some people came with like a family and kid, so you can imagine a range of age, also different nationality.
I'll go next. Hi. Well, I went straight from undergrad to graduate school. So it's sometimes we have students who went to undergrad later in life, or who actually just are practicing artists who have a career, who have developed their work in some way or kind of invested in their practice. We also have students at all ages. We do occasionally accept students that come straight from undergrad. But in that case, the portfolios are pretty advanced. They have really pushed forward their practice and invested in their subject matter, and that's very visible. We have families, we have people from all over the world, and it is mandatory that you relocate to New Haven, and so everyone lives and works here in town.
Great.
Yeah, it's the same in photography. We have people from all different kind of stages in their life. There's a lot of reasons that people seek out a graduate education that are entirely personal. I can say from the faculty point of view, we're really interested in students that are open to the experience, that don't see kind of going from being a working artist in many cases to being in a pedagogical situation is necessarily meaning that they're in any way being subjected to something, but more, I like to think of it as, it's really important to me that there be kind of real world analogs to what we do. And I always think, or sometimes I even mention it, you know, if you don't get in, what will you be doing next year? My guess is you'll be trying to work as much as possible, despite circumstances, rarely because of circumstances. And also there will be days when you look at your work and suspect that you're missing something, that there's something you're not addressing, that that there's that truism, you're your own worst critic. And I believe that's true. I don't think that anybody anywhere can kind of get under your skin or rattle your cage in a productive way as good as you can. That said, when characterizing the department, it said that the critique is at the core of our pedagogy, of the experience we're trying to give. I would just say that I believe that's true, but definition of critique, the definition of that conversation and how it actually plays out, where the value resides, is a very expansive idea. One way of putting it is I am constantly reminded of just how much there is to glean, how much of the learning or the provocation takes place when you're listening to somebody say something about somebody else's work, not necessarily your own. So you really are participating in a very kind of expansive conversation. And at the same time, I really think we work with ambition. You should come with questions, and we will work with you on those questions. And the collective goal is progress, which I think is true in or out of school at any point in your life. Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Thanks so much to my colleagues. I, feel like many of the things that came up through the other directors' reflections, a high degree of maturity, self-awareness. We also try to not take students straight out of undergrad because of that, having some time in the world, learning about yourself, leaning into spaces where you can see shared values, collaborating with institutions and other individuals, making self-initiated work or working at a studio, all open you up to understanding what you have in your hand and where you could possibly take it to, or understanding the gaps that you have that you want to fill. And so, yeah, we really are looking for students that are excited to come to a place where they are going to be challenged, where they're open to doing some weird things, they're looking for some openings in their work to build and grow. The world is changing rapidly, especially for graphic design. The tools are shifting. And so, also we want students who are actively wanting to participate in learning together, teaching others, what they know, sharing. We're a very highly collaborative department, partly because we've got an open plan space, so it lends itself to that. So someone who's very interested in community and a teaching and learning community is what we kind of look for. We think about if you know you're that kind of person, then you're kind of ready for this challenge and amazing experience.
Thank you so much. Those are all such great answers. Can you talk a bit about, I think one of the burning questions everybody always wants to know is, like, what are the nuances that make for a successful portfolio in the review process? Like, maybe what not to do, but what are the things that you think are really key to see in the work of an applicant that seems ready for the program?
One thing I can say, it's not in any way a revision of what was already said, but when it comes to if you're going to include an installation shot of something in which, because sometimes installation really does matter, and I'm speaking strictly from a loose photography point of view, but we can use our imagination. We do it all the time. And so I would definitely try to show us the work and not worry too much unless installation is critical to understanding what you're doing. Beyond that, I think it should represent, no matter what, there should be a very strong relationship between what the work is doing on its own without any support and what you are thinking about in terms of why you want to come and what you want for yourself and the work. And those two things don't necessarily have to, the statement doesn't necessarily need to describe the work, because in many ways we're looking not for the most polished, we're not curating a biennial, we're looking for a belief in the next chapter, the desire to move beyond what you're actually applying with. That's the best I could do.
I guess that's a good follow-up for me, because I think we all have an artistic project, and it has to do with our ideas, synthesizing our techniques, and really coming through in the portfolio, like who you are. We see the work first, we see your thinking, your experimentation. In the painting department, we're very much for pushing for experimentation, and you might have noticed during open studios that there's quite a bit going on, and that is part of the role to try new things. In your portfolio, as you know, we're also painting and printmaking, so we're always do have an eye out for artists that are expanding upon printmaking, and that doesn't mean necessarily just your first etching or your first woodblock. It means your investigation of printmaking as a medium, and like pushing forward what it can do to share your idea. So it should be pretty advanced work. The artists, in my experience, that sort of make it till the end, present themselves in a holistic manner. So it's not a project from painting, a project from drawing. It's their voice and their interests. Sketches are always welcome, preliminary, some level of preliminary, and your images should be in good condition. The color should be adjusted, like be true to the work as much as possible, and represent the object, because we don't see it in person. So we should be able to get a sense of like your surface, your color. Be careful with reflective light. We should be able to really, it sometimes is okay, it's maybe good to invest with somebody to take a good photo of your work. And just the sequence, really consider the sequence. Again, we see your work first, and that's our introduction to you.
I'll jump in and talk about graphic design, because sometimes it can be a bit tricky, right? People are coming from having practice within a shared studio, you're collaborating with institutions. So how do you situate your own voice in those kinds of works? We really ask applicants to present their own self-initiated work. But if there is something so specific, like a collaborative project, a client-based project, holds so much of your own values, and you can clearly demarcate what your role was, and you were like really involved in the making, in the aesthetic output, in the material choices, that it really, you can say you own that project. Please do share it, but we really are looking for work that you have produced out of your own, own motivations. We are looking for a portfolio that that shows a range of modalities, competency in a range of modalities. You don't have to try to make every kind of output, but please show us, what you can do in motion, in print. If you make objects, just be honest about the things you're interested in. Don't try to present something that you think we will like. Don't try to perform what you think another Yale graduate student from our program would make. We are looking for really interesting different kinds of people. We make a cohort out of a range of different people because you can all learn and share and grow together. And definitely that messaging is for prelim applicants especially. We know that you might not have as much experience as other people within the discipline. So show us what you have. We're interested in you because you're going to come with other kinds of skills. You're interested in other kinds of content. You've done certain kinds of research. So yeah, just be honest in your portfolio. Show us who you are. Put your best foot forward. Very excited to see what surfaces.
For sculpture department, I think we are most interested in focused portfolio. But I do echo like the interest in showing the modality, different modality like Nancy was talking about. So I would imagine that's tricky because diverse but also focused, right? So I would ask for you to think about how to show the breadth of practice, but still making sure the portfolio and statement make sense together. So something like that would like hit the focus and the variety at the same time. I want to ask you about use of a comments. We are looking for clear description, especially in sculpture, like a medium and size is important. So put those in there. The comment section is not an essay place. Concentrate all your concept and meaning. If it's the specific medium is related to your concept, put that in a statement, but state the medium as a fact in the comments. So I really want to make sure that essay and the comments are separate thing and give us a really clear description. About the video or performance, we would like to ask you to put an excerpt no longer than 2 minutes, not too many edit cuts. You can put the link on a longer piece in a commentary, but it's not guaranteed that it's going to be viewed until the applicants are invited back to the interviews. Okay, so that's that.
Photography has the same policy when it comes to video that Aki just described for sculpture.
So does GD. And Taryn, I'm not sure if there was a note before about like composite images for graphic design. We know that you are making publications. They might have many pages. It's okay to just represent a few really strong pages that represent the range of moves you've made within the layout. Please don't give us a grid of tiny little thumbnails. We can't see it. And it starts to become frustrating. We want to be close up to some of what you've made. If you get to interview stage, there's opportunities to kind of share a little bit more of some of those projects. So just really stick to the guidelines, the length of videos, really using each slide to show one image. It's a tricky thing, but you can do it successfully.
That's actually what I was just going to say. We do pepper that through all of our portfolio advisement, staying away from composite images. It's very, very hard to see your work in this way. And there's a reason that we limit the number of images you send. It's part of the, it's part of the whole process of editing it down. So trying to cram so much more in is not actually hacking the system. It's working against you. So thank you for following.
Can I mention something, Taryn? I wanted to say that we love painting. And we enjoy painting and what painting does and everything very much, but our students have a range of practices. They're making sculpture, they're making publications, they're in photography, they're bringing in everything. They're working in so many ways, performance. So please don't be misguided that it's only one type of medium. It's not just painting and printmaking, but you have freedom to explore a lot of different things in the painting program.
Great. Thank you. That's so super helpful to hear this all from your perspectives. And then as far as the statement, so the statement really, I think I always advise prospective students is that it's really your moment to get to sort of like the heart of the matter of your work. It's not a biography of your entire life, but to certainly identify parts of your lived experience that relate to your work and what your work is doing and why Yale and why now. But for you all, what's really key to read? I mean, I think people get really concerned that it's only the 1 page or the 500 words, but the brevity is part of, again, that section of the application challenge. So what's really useful for you all?
Yeah,
And
and
maybe-
don't be afraid to include the, your doubts, even the things that you find mysterious that would like that you'd like to explore. It's not just about what you know. It's about things that you would like to explore as a student, things you haven't acquired yet.
Yeah, I like the idea of doubts, but like the questions, and then question behind what your portfolio says, if it's not visible enough, and then how you think you might want to extend or new question you want to ask, because it's good to know a kind of research question you have in like maybe like a paragraph of that, so that we could locate your interest beyond what it looks like in a portfolio.
I think it's a great opportunity for us to hear your voice. I would recommend not trying to sound smart or trying to use buzzwords and things like that. Be natural and express what you're thinking about, and maybe even share a little bit like about how you want to take advantage of the research facilities, the opportunities you have here in that way. But really try to just be you, just like if you were talking to your friend and you were expressing like why you want to be here and what you're doing with your art making practice. Again, we're not looking for someone who sounds who's trying to use certain vocabularies, and just be natural.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, Maria. A sense of excitement, why are you interested in coming here? What have you seen? What have you heard? What do you hope for? Is really important. Again, GD is very collaborative, right? It's open plan space. So how do you imagine working in a community and how would that benefit you? We also asked that in the interview. So if you get through to that round, we will pull that out of you. I'm always curious about what applicants think the potential of the discipline is. Why graphic design? Why design practice? Now, what are the openings you see in the discipline? What are things that you're bringing to your practice that might not be normative? It's a very young discipline, so there's so much potential for growth. We don't need to be stuck in an old idea. And so it's always exciting to hear how you're thinking about what the discipline can do, also what you feel it can't do, and how you want to challenge certain stereotypes that might be out there.
I want to add, like, besides the question, I'm also like interested in how you would locate your work. And I'm interested in where the friction point is between your work and, say, art phenomena artists, or like some type of lineage. But it doesn't have to be art context, right? It could be a political phenomena, or like other discipline like philosophy, literature, religion. Like, what exactly is in contact with your work?
And lastly, I think it's helpful sometimes, like if you have interest like in research or pedagogy, or what do you bring? Maybe a line in there about you, like, because we're all very individual people. So it's not just about what you're going to get from the place, from us, from the school and the program. It's also what you bring to the table yourself.
Great. That's a really natural segue, Maria. Thank you. Into my next question, which is, can you talk a little bit from each of your experience, like working with your faculty committee in this process, which is actually, and it's an incredibly focused, careful process. It's the most important thing we kind of do every year together, is working toward the cohort of students that will come in and make the next class at the School of Art. Can you talk a little bit about how you shape a cohort, like how you use the interview process, the application process to shape the cohorts for your individual program?
I'll go first. In a way, there is a relationship between well, it's not written down anywhere, but if there's any tradition in terms of the pedagogy, one of the things, if there's anything at all, it's truly in our investment in a diversity of points of view, from different life experiences, different approaches to the medium. And generally there's 5 critics and 20 students, and those 5 critics, nobody's job is consensus. In fact, quite the opposite. The best we can provide on a good night is a range of responses, and the only person in the room that can say with any authority whether something's been helpful is the student showing work. And I think that is reflected in admissions too. The committee consists of photo faculty generally, and we look very closely, and there is no such thing as a house style. We're rarely on the same page. So it's a very kind of healthy, vigorous conversation. And how we get it together is, well, it's work. It is work. But yeah, so you are definitely being looked at through a variety of lenses. I know that doesn't clarify anything, but it's complicated. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think for GD, we're definitely not trying to replicate ourselves. So we're looking for students who can add something new. We're looking for people who are interested in going into what's coming next, and helping us continue to build, from where we are now. We're looking for very curious people, and cohorts, building a cohort is very interesting. You have to think about the chemistry. You need different kinds of people because you want students. One of the most important things in graduate school is that students become thought partners. They become close colleagues. And so you want people to be able to lend different skills and experiences, different temperaments, to support like a really well-rounded community experience, learning experience. And so, yeah, we're looking for a full range of characters. And the faculty, I think you'll find, are also reflect that. We're just like a really motley crew of weirdos. And even though designers, people think designers are pretty straight-laced, I think the faculty right now are just like so interesting. And we're looking for people that are going to complement us and add to all of that diversity.
I echo that we also look for the like a variety of perspective, model production, and then the multitude of history, or the 2 kind of like rulers we use to make sure that we have the different people here. We're making village, so it's really a community focused place. Everybody has to participate. It's a full-time program, so we are looking for somebody who's gonna be a present and then be here for like all sorts of activities beyond your own work, but also community, and then being able to, I consider this community as like a group of 10 cohorts who has different interests. So we could have a relationship to like, okay, you go to the law school, you go to the business school, you go to the art history department, you go to like, so collectively, if we all take different classes, we have bigger knowledge. So that's how kind of I imagine. We don't need, perhaps out of 10 people, we don't need 5 bakers. We also need farmers making wheat. So there's like, we really hope that you don't, if you didn't get a chance to come, you don't think like you're ranked, because we are also looking for a balanced community. We're not looking for like, who's the best at what. We are really looking at a participant who's interested in making learning community, and they have to complement each other. So I just wanted to say that in case we can get to work together or not, like it's not about a judgment on your work only, right?
I echo that, Aki. I think it's hard because we know we can only accept 18 students and we want to take many more, but don't be discouraged. It's just that we have limited studios and we have to cut down, although we would want to have more voices. So please don't be discouraged at all or think that it's a personal on your work or the value of your work. I think our first intention in painting is just that we need 18. I think that's like the one thing that we overlap, and that we need people who are really invested in their practice, who are ready to let go of commitments, if they already are professional artists, ready to let go of that and to be focused, be part of a community. But I think most importantly, I thought as an alum that there was like a master plan and like there was like a menu. There is no menu. It's very organic. We review every applicant, and really the cohort kind of simmers into itself. And one of the key things is that you make the program. That cohort is the program. You bring yourselves to the table. So we go with the flow. Everyone's reviewed. There is debate. There is we're all very, very invested. So believe me that you're given all of the time that is needed, and the decisions are made with commitment from our end.
It's so much arguing for and so little in the end arguing against, you know. It's just, it's like Maria says, like it's so painful when we only admit 10 each year, and it's just
Yeah.
very hard.
And one way that we also shape the cohorts is with a wait list. So we always make a wait list for every program. And if you're on the wait list, you're absolutely admissible. As if and as people decline, we don't have really like a number where we go, okay, you're the first and you're the second. We really look at who has decided not to come, and then where do we kind of rebalance that cohort. It's a very thoughtful process, really. I know we started late and I'm really sorry, but I hope we can maybe go for 10 more minutes if everybody has that time. If you don't, that's okay. Let me know. But Lindsay's just gonna open the Q&A. I just want to put out there, we're not gonna have time for very many questions. So we are gonna open the Q&A. We're gonna ask just one or two. If you have specific questions for some of the faculty, you can name that. But Maria, do you have to go?
I have a studio business. Could I go first if there's a question for painting? Because I won't be able to stay past 1:30.
Yes, and we can, yes. And like I said, we're just not gonna be able to get to everybody's, but really quickly before you go, while we have you, I do have one other one, which, and you can answer this, you know, one of the things we require in the process is the CV. And I think this is another thing that, like, when I see where people are with their applications, we always get to the day that things are due, and you know, half of the people that started the application submit and half of them don't. And most people that don't submit are missing statement and CV. That's what is not there, right? So that's a hurdle. I just want to demystify this. This is really just about understanding what you've been doing. So we're, to the contrary, we're not necessarily looking for people who have like this extensive showing history or have a gallery. So I don't know if any of you want to talk about that, like that we really are looking for potential. We're looking for people that are ready to take the next step. And I know that's particularly in painting important too.
Yeah, Maria, there's a couple of questions coming in specific to painting, so we can get to those first if you have to head out.
Do you want to read them for me?
Yeah, so someone is asking, if you don't have much experience in the printmaking process but want to learn, how much is that a deterrent?
Oh, definitely not. It's not. It's actually something that is added. If you have printmaking practice, go ahead and add that to your portfolio. If it's something that it's truly your project, not a class assignment. If you don't have printmaking, we will get you to. We have many opportunities. We have lithography, screen printing, lots of chances for you to actually grow your practice and experiment with printmaking in many areas of making here, including going to the wood shop and taking some classes in sculpture and yeah.
For painting, I know you said that order matters. I think they're talking about the portfolio. Could you talk more on that? I'm a bit lost on how things should flow.
It's really a storytelling. So it's not like there's a right or wrong way to create the order for your images. It's about how you're narrating your story with your work. Definitely show some nice, images of single works. Try not to like do many compiling of fragmented tiny images of your pieces because it's hard to see. Again, there is no right or wrong way to do it. It's really about how you want to feature yourself. Also, don't include yourself, just include your work. I have some people who've put selfies. Please don't do that, just your work.
What about painting with sculptural components that really benefits from two views if composite images aren't ideal?
Yeah, I think you should figure out which is the best way to represent your work, because not everything is 2D when it comes to painting. So just look to see how artists photograph their work to kind of give it a good sense. And you can also add materials, description, size, and information in your image, like on the description.
Thank you, Maria. I know it's 1:30. I can also, I just want to mention too, I can stay on after as the faculty have to leave because they have classes or crits, I can also stay on and answer a couple more questions as well. We're gonna this session is focused on the admission process. So I know some people have questions about like being a student or the program itself. Okay, so one person is asking what our thoughts are about students coming in from non-BFA undergrad. We have many students that come in that haven't had a BFA, actually.
I was one of those
Um,
when I was a
A
student.
question for, you were, yeah, that's right. Okay, so this is in a sculpture question. Upload a total of 20 still images or time-based files. With the number that should represent work within the past 12 months, they're asking, do all 20 units of uploads imply 20 distinct works? Or
No.
can some of those images be details or different?
Yes, the details are welcomed. You just make sure that you don't use too many details. So I would imagine like dot, dot, ta, right? So something like that. So instead of like, like repeat of the different size. I believe the sculpture has a front, even though you didn't mean it. So think about that when you're taking pictures, installation also. So it could be like a idea of a front, back detail, something like that. Like, so you can distinct role for what each images are doing. I had a portfolio before that, like 10 images are from the same exhibition. That's not necessarily a good thing. It, of course, there's exception. I just want to add to the CV. You could list, if it's important or somewhat related to your work, you should list other type of non-art things in the CV. Some people have worked as like a librarian or research assistant in a particular subject matters, and those are actually contextualize your statement and portfolio. So I encourage you to list that kind of thing.
There's a number of questions about supplementary portfolios, and when we select our finalists that are going to come to interview, we will send you all the specific information for your area of study. So each department or each program has a little bit of a different request as far as what they'd like to see. With painting, they do want to see like ideation, kind of sketches, up close, sort of detailed images of surface. That's one example. With photography, you can send the same works, you can send different work. I mean, it varies by program. So those guidelines might also change for this year. So just sit tight and trust that if you're selected as a finalist, we will give you all the details for that. Okay, there's a couple questions too about titles and credits. So, and I want to clarify this. So we mentioned comments. So in Slate, where you upload an image, there is a space for title, dimension, date, that kind of general information like you would submit or you would provide for any artwork. Then there's comments. So comments, sometimes people write like a whole long story for each piece in the comments. We do not have time to read those. The comments should really be for, this is a context I want to explain about this work that maybe isn't clear. Or like Nancy was saying, if you have this is a layout from a larger publication. Very, very important. If it's a collaboration where you've worked with someone else, you need to credit that person. Or if you've used any sort of AI or generative tools, we want to know that. That's like where the comments are for, really telling us something that we ethically should know, that's like outside of what you can glean from just looking at it. That makes sense. We don't want to know your whole idea for the work and have, like someone was saying, like a separate statement.
I want to add to this collaboration thing that if you have like a long-term collaboration, you could mention that. If it's very important to your practice, you could write it in a statement. I would love to see if you are bringing in a particular collaboration to this context, or if you are a type of person who each project will make you go towards finding a collaborator, like there were different way of people working with collaborator, I would like to know, whether in statement or of course credit your collaborator in the comments. Another thing for sculpture specifically is a fabrication. If you are, if it's something that like it's hard to tell if it's fabricated somewhere else or you did it, or we will be talking about that. So you might as well just provide that information.
Someone's asking for photography, if they should mention like what cameras they're using, what kinds of, like what method or what type, yeah, just like the technicals for each photo.
No one would hold it against you. You know, I mean, if you're describing your process and your choice of camera is, you know, part of that and part of the kind of aesthetic decisions you're making in the work, then yeah. Yeah. Not a requirement though.
Okay.
I would also just, while I've got you, I would throw, this is just personal to me, and maybe Taryn has a perspective on this. We are very aware about the credential that the degree confers upon graduation and how it relates to the people that are interested in teaching. And that is a subject that is discussed while students are with us. But taking up valuable space in your statement to talk about your ambitions to teach, not necessary. Just not necessary. We're really focused on your work while we're, you know, aware of other aspects of the degree. Does that make sense, Taryn?
Yes, very much
Yeah.
so. Okay, and then do admission committee members review recommendation letters recycled from previous years differently than fresh letters?
Oh,
like
a fresh letter is always a good idea.
Love a fresh letter.
I look at the it shows up on the system if someone has applied in previous years, and so I look at the past portfolio. So fresh letter, you know, some updated work for sure. Don't just recycle the materials. And we've actually got very good memories. Faculty always remember, like, oh yeah, we saw this person last time, or like this was exactly the same work from last time. So keep us up to date with where you are. We're growing people. Tell us where you are, who you are now.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, just as Taryn was saying, a wait list reflects serious, serious interest. We are not casual about the wait list, and often it can be a very productive year. We'd like you to think that it's encouragement, which it is, and people have, just get a little bit of, puts a little spring in their step, and they have a really productive year, and that becomes part of their statement. This is what I've been doing since I last applied.
I just wanna it might be, if you apply last year, it might be harder to get 3 fresh letter.
Recommendations, right? That good point.
Yeah, one or two people who could speak to the last year, right? So like instead of asking the same person again to add a paragraph, I would imagine like spot what you have grown since last year, and then show that through portfolio statement, and then perhaps one letter, because I've been writing crazy amount of letter right now. So I would ask you to be respectful for the people you are asking as well.
Thanks, Aki. I thought it was the person was asking about their statement, not the recommendation letters. Yeah, it's good to make that distinction.
Yeah, it's important. I think what really helps is when the letters are just from people who really know you and are going to take the time to write you a letter that describes you, the real you, and it's not an insert name here type of a read, because those always feel that way. Yeah, all right. So I'm okay, Nancy. Okay, I see like some people are answering some questions in the chat, which is great. Let's see. I just want to mention, I would not use one image. I would not do a detail for every work. I think if you're in painting, you can, because we already are limited to 16 images, we would actually like to see 16 distinct works. Unless you have some sculptural works and you want a different view, but maybe you can have one image that shows, like, if you have very difficult to photograph work and you want to see the surface or the, a detail really specifically, I think that is okay, just one, but I would not do a detail for every piece. Like, don't submit 8 pieces with details, and as Aki's saying too, with the different views of a sculpture, it just really depends, like the size of the sculpture, like how much you're showing a body of work, within the portfolio that, and as far as like how should it show things I did do once and that showed this proficiency, but now I moved on. I think the key here is really like, this is about the work that you're really excited about right now, that you're looking to take into this experience, right? Into the graduate experience. And as we've mentioned multiple times, this isn't a process of like, we're not looking for the most polished work. We're not looking for people that, as you look at our website, as you look at the work we show, it's often, just want to put this out there, from our thesis shows. So it's at a level that is not what we expect at the applicant stage. So just be aware of that.
Taryn, can I jump in real quick and answer a photo
Yeah.
question? The question is, how should I approach presenting a body of work in my portfolio that feels conceptually cohesive, but is still evolving, not quite complete yet? I think you're kind of answering the question. You should present the body of work, and you should, in your statement, discuss what you've achieved and what you feel remains to be explored within it. I hope that helps.
That really does. I think that we probably have to wrap there. And first of all, I just want to, thank our colleagues, thank my colleagues so much for sharing their perspective and just their experience of doing this year after year. We truly love the time we spend together in January and February going through admission, and really look forward to seeing all of your work. We hope that you will take the time to apply to Yale. And just as a reminder, our deadline is January 8th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please apply on time. The financial aid deadline is March 1st, and you will need to have done your taxes for the prior year. So it'll be 2023. So if you haven't done your taxes yet for 2023, get them filed now, so you have them ready. That deadline, if you get admitted, you will get a financial aid letter within 2 weeks of your admission letter if you completed your application in all of its parts by March 1. That is a caveat. And you can work on your application anytime at apply.art.yale.edu. Sarah Cronquist, who's here with us today, is answering the art.admissions@yale.edu email as always. So keep your questions coming. Thank you for your thoughtful questions today. And thanks, Lindsay and Nancy and Aki and John and Maria and Sarah and everyone for coming together to make this talk happen. We would love for you to be focused on getting your application together, sending it in by the deadline, and we thank you for your patience as we review everything and work to get our decisions out to you. And if you do apply and we interview you and we aren't able to admit you that year, we welcome you to apply again. That happens regularly. We see repeat applications, all the time. Also, if you're interested in more than one program, you can make an application to more than one program. You just have to actually apply to both with separate materials. So, and really appreciate everyone being here. Thank you all so much. Bye.
Bye.